You've had 2 films at Cannes Cafe Society in which you're also excellent with Woody Allen. How satisfied do you feel with all the choices that you've made, working with people like Olivier and Woody and, you know, some of the auteurs? Also Camp X-Ray a couple of years ago was brilliant as well.
Thanks. I feel like, you know, if you function from a really honest place, there's really never going to be a time where you look back and think that you've made a mistake or that you've regretted a creative venture, because the experience was worth it, even if you don't make, you know, a perfect movie or whatever. And I feel there's never a time where I'm wondering if it's a good idea for me to do a movie. It's really always a feeling that feels compulsive. And so I'm really lucky that the people that have sort of, that the universe has brought me to and brought them to me as well, as I acknowledge how insanely cool everyone has been. I'm working with people that I've grown up, you know, idolizing, and yeah, it's amazing.
Olivier, this is the second time in a couple of years you've worked with him. Presumably it's always a good experience. So what made you go back to working with him so soon after Sils Maria?
I mean, Olivier is he's, you know, one of our greatest filmmakers living, and my experience with him was so intrinsic. It's really the way I like to work. It's like somehow we communicated a lot to each other without speaking, and I felt very driven and pushed, and yet as much as I could completely lose control within his parameters, I knew that if I ever fell too hard, that there was always going to be that safety net, that there was that trust in him to sort of allow myself to push really hard, and that's how you want to feel as an actor. And so when he had written Personal Shopper, really on the tail end of Sils Maria, I was terrified to read it because I just love him so much. I couldn't imagine saying that I didn't want to do the movie with him, because he wrote it for me, and he couldn't envision anyone else doing the part, and he put so much effort into it, obviously. And I read it and I was just flabbergasted. I couldn't believe that it came from him. It just made me that much more curious about his mind, you know.
Yes, so is that what he gives you in a way, that he stretches you?
Oh my gosh, his material just allows for so much exploration. There are so many questions that are asked that are not answered, and so you're allowed to own a thought process that is not cultivated or owned by a director. It's like you're not being manipulated by a director. You're literally just being poked and sort of encouraged to think. And I love that. I love sort of unconstructed meditations rather than packaged notions that are sort of posing as films.
What conclusions have you drawn from Olivier's exploration of spiritualism and the afterlife? What have you come to think after that experience of Maureen?
I mean, whatever your eyes are perceiving to be reality is a very personal experience, and I think probably the only one that you could invest in it, because it's yours, and whether or not that is the same for everyone, or if it's some sort of fabrication or illusion and we're all living in the Matrix. I think that there is a through line between us. There's a reason we're asking these questions. I think that there's a psychic sort of energy that we're all entitled to because we are human. That there's a reason why I'm attracted to some people and drawn to them, and there is a reason why I'm repelled by some. It's that can only be, you know, your intuition. There's something that you're not responsible for, and I think that the only way that I can think about that in a really non-religious way is that there's something soulful. There's something that to me is only spiritualism. That has to be what it is. But to answer any of bigger questions like, do I believe in an afterlife or ghosts or anything like that, I have no idea, but I know that there's something there that's invisible that we can't see that actually drives us.
texting. I mean, Olivier's been really groundbreaking in his use of text as a script. Do you think it was a valid use as part of the script, where Maureen's on text for so much of the movie?
Absolutely. I mean, Maureen cannot associate with other people. She's so inhibited. She's so stifled. She's so stuck in her own head that the one thing that she has this sort of charged, sensual interaction with is her phone. And how much of that is projection and illusion is sort of up to the audience to decide. And that is also something that you have to feel when you're texting someone, is like, you know, am I interpreting this correctly? Am I making this up? Am I having my own interaction with something that's just a farce? You know, you can hide behind your phone. There's it's a sort of like different communication. It's sort of like a it's a what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's a fractioned communication, but it's one that's much more safe, and it definitely speaks to her inability to deal with human interaction.
Maureen is a personal shopper. That's a job she doesn't enjoy very much either. Yeah. It's quite a sly little reference from Olivia to celebrity culture. Do you enjoy sending that world up a little?
I kind of revel in you know, sort of like winking at what is so glaringly obvious to us, at least, which is just like the very apparent, like, it's, you know, the surface nature of what we're all sometimes, and me guiltily, so obsessed with, these distractions that genuinely don't matter, these shiny things that we obsess over. It's fun for me to sort of nod at the absurdity of it because I'm so involved in it, that I think with anyone else it would still be topical and interesting, but it's just like kind of perfectly and like it's so gratifyingly ironic out of my mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's wonderful, but the great thing about you as well is that I think off that red carpet duty, you are so approachable, and you're as well. So I think that's it's quite nice. It's believable with you that you would be the personal shopper trying on somebody else's clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel that way. I mean, honestly, like if I were to show my 12-year-old self, like sometimes like the things that I do, as much as I really do love the fashion-y aspects of my life, I really actually am. I'm into it.
Yeah.
I would be shocked at 12. I'd be like, really? Yeah. Not the most obvious choice.
Would you like to do an out-and-out horror film?
Yeah, there were times in this movie where I really felt like we were doing a horror movie. I felt like we really leaned in to that rather than avoided it. And I love horror films. I mean, this is an interesting one. It's not a straight horror movie, but some of my favorite movies are horror films. Like, I really love The Strangers, which is like really straight horror. Silence of the Lambs is one of my favorite. Actually, I have to say, like, one of my all-time top 5 favorite movies in the world is The Shining.
Wow. Yep.
So yeah, when they're smart and they make you think, I really love them. Yeah.
Would it have to be a bloody good script to get you back into a big blockbuster? Because, you know, I love watching independent movies, and I love the organic process of making them. I wonder what your opinion is.
It would have to be a bloody good script. And in that case, I would be really excited, because there's nothing better than reaching, you know, that many people. The only reason that we make movies is to become closer to each other anyway. So to share on a grand scale would be incredible, but it would have to be worth it. And it's a little bit more rare to find it in that context, but it happens. When a big movie hits, there's nothing more exciting than that. You know, I just worked with Ang Lee.
Yeah. And
that movie is huge. I mean, like, in terms of, I don't know if it's gonna be a blockbuster. It's definitely not a franchise, but it's commercial, and it's enormous in scale. And it was really interesting for me to step onto a movie like that. I was like, whoa, the big guns. These are the big guys. We have more than one camera and more than 30 people on set. So it's a different experience, but it can still be incredibly worth it.
Yeah, you're like a kid in a sweet shop at the moment, I think, with all the great people that you're getting to work with.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like bizarrely cool.
Yeah. I've got to ask you about Paris before we go. Obviously, Paris is a big feature in this movie as well. How much did you enjoy your experience? Did you ever fall off that scooter?
there was only one time where I really almost took a spill, and it scared me so much. I was riding away from a really urgent, I don't know how much I'm really allowed to give away, but from a really gruesome scene. One of the most gruesome scenes, the most gruesome scene in the movie, and I couldn't get the thing to work, and I like peeled around a corner, and I felt the back wheel spin out, and then they called cut, and I was like, take it away. This is a movie. That would not be worth it. Like, I would die for this movie, but then actually, no, I would not die for this movie. I do not want to die for this movie. But it was exhilarating, honestly. Like, it's We didn't fake anything in this movie. I had 2 hours of scooter training, and they threw me on the streets of Paris, and like those Parisians really know how to like aggressively maneuver those things, and I don't. So I was faking it.
Respect anyway, and I hope Paris is wonderful for you. Such a lovely city.
Yeah,
Thank
I love
you.
it.
Real
Thank you very
pleasure
much.
to chat. Thank you very, very much. And
Likewise.
congratulations.
Likewise.
Thank you.